go live. Going live right now. Hi, we're back. Hoorah. Elaine Marolakos Edelson with Astrology Mojo and Transformational Astrology. Want to help you get your mojo back. So, how is everyone? How is everyone doing? We're going to be talking about your most excellent self today via the Mercury in retrograde that's upcoming. We're actually in the pre-phase of it, but first, let me just remind you to vote your conscience. It is that time of year. And also that the planets don't do anything to you, that we live in a cooperation with our cosmos. It's like a little dance. So when the planets make a move, you feel it. When you make a move, the planets reflect that in the heavens. Isn't that a comfort to know that you are not a puppet? Isn't it, though? I think so. Your most excellent self, what's that about? Well, you know, what I find really fascinating is that in the world we live in, hi, Tony. Hey, Kim. Back in action. The majority of the world seems to measure, it's just the way it is, excellence by status and achievement. And people are rewarded, right? To be the top of their field, to be, hi, Carmen, to be a top scientist, a best-selling author, the wealthiest, the one who makes the biggest donation or contribution to the charity wing, the king, the queen, the prince, the princess, the president, the first lady, and we hope one day very soon, the first husband. And that seems to be the measure of excellence in a lot of ways. And, but for those folks who will never be in the public eye, who won't be recognized, by the world for the long hours that they put in for their family and for their friends, who will never win awards for beating cancer, or who won't be given a red carpet for walking out of an abusive relationship or entering into a healing phase, who won't be applauded for being their most excellent selves. I applaud you. Let me applaud you right now. If you're listening to this, and to those people, excellence, your most excellent self is derived from focusing on the thing that gives you joy, the most joy, and then doing that thing to its completion in as many moments as possible. And no matter, to infinity and beyond, right? I'm a Buzz Lightyear fan. And, well, Carmen, welcome. I'm glad you're here. So, no matter how long it takes, or no matter who tells you what you can't do and what's not allowed, your most excellent self is why you came here. It's what you're here to do, to be that thing. And I'm applauding you. I'm applauding you now for everything you've ever done to be more aware, to help yourself, to help other people, to set healthy boundaries, very important, right? To make a difference, to show up, and to be more present. I see you. What did they say in Avatar? I see you with the hair. I see you. I just watched for the, I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. My husband and I love, not Braveheart, we love that one too. We love all the epic films like Gladiator and Braveheart and Castaway and The Last Samurai. But this one was Dances with Wolves. Okay. Jumani Tutanka, Obwachi. I have wind in my hair. That's why my hair's pulled back today. But anyway, it's like these dramatic, wonderful things that we see on screen or on the films that of all time. And we think, I want to be that important. I want to make that much of a difference. And you do. So don't discount the little things, please. And this is my segue into Mercury in retrograde, which is coming up November 17th through December 6th in the sign of Sagittarius. Now, it's not just this talk is not just for that time period, because any Mercury in retrograde, anytime Mercury is in the sign of Sagittarius, it's going to be the same information. So use it to your advantage. So now that I recognize you for your excellence, connect to your most excellent self, body, mind, spirit. And, like they say in Avatar, make the bond, Jake Sully, make the bond. You have to connect to that part. And what does that take? It takes your perception. Now, is it easy? No. Sometimes, no, not at all. But it depends on your vibration. Now, Sagittarius is an energy that is, always on the go, loves to travel, loves culture on the high end, and can be very spiritual and or religious. Hello from New Jersey, Joyce. I'm from New Jersey. But my accent will never give it away. Not yet. Maybe in passionate moments, you'll hear some Jersey come out of here. Sometimes my hair is very Jersey. My husband will say, oh, look, it's my Jersey girl. Not today. I tamed it. I tamed the wild beast. So when we're looking at Mercury in Sagittarius and Mercury in retrograde, which is coming up on November 16th through December 6th, and what Sagittarius represents really is, I didn't have a picture of it, but I do have, here's a symbol of Sagittarius. It's an arrow actually being shot by a centaur, half man, half mythical creature. And that symbol in astrology represents humanity merging with all beliefs, all cultures, all kinds, and that is at its most highest, without arrogance. Now, I say the most highest because sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. And Sagittarius on the low end can be very bossy, can be very judgmental, can be very cynical, excuse me while I clean my glasses, can be exclusionary and elitist. So we have to look at, what does Mercury in retrograde represent? Remember, the planets don't do anything to you. This is all about your experience. And I get to see what you're experiencing by looking at astrology and seeing what's happening on the planet. So Mercury represents, yes, Kim says they are the truth seekers. They're the practical spiritualists of the zodiac. And they're always looking for the truth. So they're always searching. So Mercury, in essence, represents the way you communicate. Now, if you know where your Mercury is in your chart, if you had a Mercury in Pisces, you would communicate like a Pisces. You would be there, very interested, very connected, very emotional thinking, and then you would disappear. Mercury in Aries, you're so excited, you want to get something started, you jump right in before you hear the whole plan, and you just say, yes, I'll do it. So the way Mercury operates in your life personally has to do with when you perceive something. Now, we all perceive something different and differently. Even you can have one, just talk to anybody in the same family. Do each of the children see the parents the same way? No, because all of the individuals are having different dynamics in their relationships. So this is what I find really fascinating about any retrograde, especially Mercury in retrograde. Your judgments will glare at you right in your face. It's going to show. And what are those judgments? Oh, you might look at someone and say, I could do that better. Okay, but maybe this is their first time. Maybe they're not trying hard, and this is, they're seasoned at it and they don't care. Okay, it is what it is. So if you can come from a place of more detachment when looking at what comes up for you during the Mercury in retrograde, and we are in the pre-phase right now, and that means it's going to start to show itself. So interesting conversation I had with a client yesterday on a potential job interview, and she had the expectation, but she didn't realize this until later. She had an expectation that because this person pursued her for the job interview, that it was she was a shoo-in. And then she found out that, he said, if you were ever interested and wanted to come, great. and just let me know when you'd like to go through the interview process. And she had already done that a year prior. And she came away from that meeting a little confused, thinking, oh, well, I thought they wanted me, but why do I need to interview all over again when I'm already practiced at this business? And it kind of threw her off. Her perception was really off. So what I said was, well, isn't it interesting that you're unhappy where you are and suddenly you manifested an opportunity? Do you notice that? Do you recognize that? What's your perception about your power? Or do you matter, or your value in the company? And she thought about that and said, oh, I didn't look at it that way. And, so it goes on from there. So I want you to look at what your perceptions are, a little at a time throughout the day, with family, with friends, with work, by yourself, watching the news. Please don't watch too much of that because it's the same story forever. And, chaos is meant to, when chaos comes calling, it is meant to show you what your judgments are. And any retrograde, any planet, and the sun and moon are not planets, so they don't go retrograde. But when any planet goes retrograde, what you experience is the subject matter that that planet represents. And in Mercury's case, it is your perception and your communication. Now, where does communication begin? Is it when you open your mouth and just start chattering? Absolutely not. Perception is the key. It is what you think is real. It is what you perceive, and then from there make an assessment, a judgment, an evaluation, and then you open your mouth and speak, or don't, and walk away, or see how you want to, oh, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I kind of liked them when I met them, but now I'm not so sure. So you go through this head casing stuff all the time, right? I mean, who doesn't? It gets a little exhausting. So with the manifesting element of your life, and you're manifesting all the time, people will say to me, Elaine, how do you manifest? And I said, well, same way you do. Look around. Everything in your life is there because of you, because you just manifested it. So I think the question is, how do I manifest consciously something that I truly want, desire, and feel I deserve to have, right? That's the question. Well, what I'd like you to do during this Mercury in retrograde, and the pre-phase shows you, Mercury also deals with siblings and short journeys, but ultimately, it is how you look at information and then shut the door or open the door. And I'm not even talking about a relationship to the world or anyone else. I'm talking about your own perception of yourself, your own self-worth, what you think you're here to do and why you're not doing it. And what's stopping you? So what is stopping you? I want you to tell me right now in the comment section, what do you think? And that's right. Kimberly says no two perceptions are ever the same. And that's usually very true. But what happens is we'll latch on to one thing. We have a belief that, and I give this example a lot of times to show the symbolism of it. Let's say you walk outside, it's raining, and it's very cold and wet and slippery, and you fall and you hurt yourself. So your idea becomes, oh, I need to be really careful because that didn't feel good. I didn't like that experience. And so I equate rain with cold, with falling, with pain. I'm going to need to limit my experience now. The next time it rains, I have a few choices I have to make. And am I doing this consciously? Not always. So do I even go outside? Do I walk like an old person, but thereby limiting my power and experience? Or do I become really afraid of the weather? And that's just symbolic of I meet someone and I think I'm attracted to them. And then I find out later that they're already dating someone. Well, then why are they talking to me? And maybe I'm the one who put something on them that wasn't there. So like you'll go through these perceptions in your head about what's truth for you, what is really true. Now, being your most excellent self is literally, the meaning of that is to be as present in as many moments as possible with compassionate, healthy boundaries. Learning to say no to other people, right? And how hard is that for some? And especially, what do we have here today? All women I'm looking at. And there are some people who are not commenting. who might be men, but your perception is what's going to change your experience. Now, when you change the neurology in your head, and I'm going to show you, you've seen me before, you've seen what the neurons look like, right? So neurons are what rule your entire world, okay? These are the things that you create in your brain, and each one of them is like a hand. It's like, oh wait, I'm backwards. It's like a hand. And the center, the nucleus of that energy, emits electrical pulses, and then that neuron and has information. You have an experience, you create a neuron. Oh, that was great. That was fun. I want to do that again. I like those people. That was a wonderful learning experience, or whatever it was. And then all these little tentacles come out and create baby neurons. And when the baby neurons are created, it's the same. They pass along the same information. So if you have a flat tire in the middle of the night and you get robbed, there comes the fear, and it says, oh my gosh, every time I travel at night, I might get a flat tire on and it may not be a conscious thing, but it will always be there. So, and the brain, again, doesn't know what is real or imagined. It just knows what your perception is and your response or reaction is to it. So think about this. When a lot of people will say to me, oh, I work so hard, it's not working. I mean, I'm going through that too. I had a recurring thyroid issue, which I did some research on my own because I was so frustrated thinking, why is this coming back? I'm taking care of myself. I don't understand. And the doctors, unfortunately, could not give me an answer. And I have many that I go to because not just one person is going to have an answer. So I look for all modalities to help me. And what I discovered on my own, because I asked the universe, it was like, all right, put up or shut up, just show me what's going on. So I finally realized, and I discovered that thyroid issue is a secondary issue to either a liver issue, a gallbladder issue, or a digestion issue. Now, I came into this world with a digestion issue. So I thought, oh my gosh, why didn't any doctor ever make that correlation and tell that to me? Well, that's okay. I found it out on my own. So I'm not going to judge them. I'm just going to say, now that I know this, I'm going to work on it from the digestion point of view and increase different types of digestive enzymes, hydrochloric acid at different times, what kind of foods I eat, blah, 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 whatever. And so I will continue that process. And this way, once I learn how to do it, I will turn around and pass that along to other people who might have similar experiences. I have in astrology a couple of aspects that are known as the guinea pig of the zodiac. So I hate to put guinea pigs in any kind of lab experiment thought process, but that's what it is. So once I learn it, I pass it along. So I want you to tell me in the chat, in the comment section, let me know, where do you are excellent at something. And it doesn't have to be lofty. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm never going to win an award, or I'll never fit into size 0 jeans. I think I might have been 4 if I could fit into a size 0 jeans. So take away the ridiculous extreme and come down to, what you're great at. Are you great at calming people down? Are you great at coming up with creative ideas for people? Are you great at feeding people? What are you great at? And whatever you're great at, tell me, first of all, what do you think you're great at? And number 2, do you stop yourself from moving forward with that in the world? What is your perception of your greatness? And sometimes we knock ourselves down because we think, oh, I don't have enough money, talent, degree, blah, blah, whatever. And we go around that same drain, circling the drain on that is really, it gets annoying, doesn't it? Just, you want to call like Roto-Rooter and say, just clear the clog and just let me get out of here and get into the world and do what I came here to do. And so sometimes during a Mercury in retrograde, what we experience is, and again, any retrograde is meant for review, because the past will come back in a retrograde, any retrograde. In a Venus retrograde, it's usually women who come back, or romance issues or financial issues that come back. In a Mercury retrograde, It's going to be your thought processes that take you around the same block over and over and over. It's like you're churning butter and you're never going to get there. Stop, you're not a pilgrim. You can go to the store and buy butter. Life gets easier. Okay, so Joyce says, I've been told in my past someone put a bad spell on me losing all my good luck. Can that really happen? Because my luck sure has changed over the past few years. Can I change that? Of course you can change that. Only if you believe you can. Now, if anybody says to you, somebody put a spell on you and you are cursed, you are hexed, I want you to stop listening to that and look in the mirror and ask yourself, what do I truly believe? And of course, if anyone ever says to you, someone put a hex on you and for a certain amount of money, I can take that hex off, I want you to report them to the police immediately, or the Better Business Bureau, because that just gets under my, it's like the harm that people can do in the name of my profession. So can you change that, Joyce? Of course you can. Would you like to change it? That's the question. And then from there, you're going to ask, how do I change it? Well, for you, I just pulled the concentration card. So I want you to concentrate on, remember the game Concentration on TV? I used to love that game. I love that. It was a TV show, game show. So what I want you to do, and this works for everyone, you're going to build up your sense of play by getting a deck of cards and, shuffling them, turning them over. 6, 3 and 3 is 6. And then you're going to play the match game. Remember that? The match game when you were a kid and you turn one over. Oh, it's a 2. Now, is there another 2? So you look and you try to match and you just keep doing that. The more you focus on organizing your thoughts in, it seems like a random obtuse way. But when you dole out a deck of cards and you lay them out and they're all mixed up, and then you go to match to see, what is my memory? Do I remember? Oh yeah, it's up there. Or you can get an app, a game in your a phone app where you could play the match game. And doing the match game during a pre-phase in a Mercury retrograde, during a Mercury in retrograde. Hang on, I'm talking so much, so fast. My Mercury in Aries just won't let up. When you do that, what you're doing is you're honing your mind and you're focusing on something that seems innocuous, very fun, kind of silly. But then right after that, you're going to have a powerful thought or a powerful feeling, because you're going to be so crisp and so aware and so focused on something, you're going to know the answer like that. So can it happen? Can someone put a curse on you? I don't know. Do they have that much power over you? Do you believe that? If you believe that someone can put a curse on you and a hex on you and has that much power over you, then you are, in essence, a victim. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't think you're a victim. Remember, I'm applauding you for everything you've done to be present, compassionate, and to make your contribution to the world. So I want you to stop thinking that people have power over you. Perception number 1, you exist and your matter is divine. Therefore, you are divine matter. So what's the matter? You. You are the matter. It's that simple. And with your matter, you can do anything. One focused thought at a time. All right. So Laurel says, I'm excellent at speaking in a way that makes people feel something. I'm so happy. Thank you for doing that. Because the more you put that into the world, the better I feel. Because we're all connected. Tony says, a sounding board without judgment. Fantastic. So you're a great listener and you can do something with that to go further. Kim says, I'm great at giving advice and horrible at taking it. Well, okay. You just judged yourself. So this is what I'm talking about. I want you to look at during this phase through December 6th, and then we're going to add a week. So let's just say through December 15th, okay? That you're going to look at your perceptions. And every time you feel confident, every time you put something positive into the world or into your mind, and then it's followed by something negative to negate what you just validated, that is a perception that no longer serves you. So, Kimberly, instead of saying, And even if you think it's true, even if it is true, even if I say to you, look, if you eat that sugar, it's going to make you crazy. And you go, yeah, I know. And then you just eat a, jar of sugar. Even if you think it's true, what I'd like you to do and to exercise this and say, I'm great at giving advice, period. That's it. And if the sentence keeps wanting to come back, but I'm terrible at taking it, then you can say, but that's changing. All right, we're going to keep coming at these perceptions with something positive. And something positive to validate that you matter, because your matter is divine. So when you look at, and you've heard, if you haven't listened to any of my other Facebook Lives, they're now on YouTube. And that's Astrology Channel. Astrology Mojo is the channel on YouTube. And you can listen to the ones that I've done already I've done over 30 already. And there's lots of great information that talk about your brain, how the neurons work, easy steps you can take to combat. Well, that's a harsh word. To neutralize. That's easy, right? Let's neutralize something. It's like you throw some magic fairy dust on it and it settles. It's like, you look at a bunch of fighting toddlers, these are your thoughts, and you take out your magic fairy dust and you just sprinkle it on them and say, let's settle down, people. Let's just settle down for a second. Okay. You're welcome so very much. I'm glad you think I'm amusing. That's part of my job. When I was little, I wanted to be a stand-up comic. So I grew up and instead I married one. I'm still funnier. Shh, don't tell Dean. He won't ever know. Okay. All right. So let me see. What else? What else do we want to talk about in your most excellent self? Oh, thank you, Dean, for posting that. I just went completely blank. And usually when I go completely blank, it's because an angel is about to give me some intel. Yes, your belief system is what's going to come up during this particular retrograde because it's in the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius, again, if you're just joining and you haven't heard since the beginning of time, of this live event, that Sagittarius is always looking and searching for a practical truth, a solution. I like to call Sages practical spiritualists. Now, I know Sages who are extremely cynical and don't have a belief system other than that they don't believe in something other. There's no energy that they believe in. There's no, dogma or doctrine that they believe in, and that's cool. But yet they suffer. And I watch the especially the Sagittarian or Sag rising signs who do not have a belief system in something greater than themselves. And I'm not talking God or goddess, although that can be part of someone's definition. I look at pure conscious love. Pure conscious love. It is genderless. It is agendaless. It is total support. It is what makes up you. This is the part of you that is. And it is a consciousness that we are striving to get back to. We come from this wholeness and we want to get back to it. And just like in, I don't know if you can see this crystal that I have, all the different facets inside the crystal ball. And you're saying, I know I'm part of the whole. I know I'm part of the whole. I just am experiencing a little tiny piece. This little striation right here, this little rutilation in here, and the clouded part or the clear part or the rainbow part. And you're deep down, you're striving to reconnect to something that is greater so that you can feel like you've made a difference, so that you can feel that pure conscious love on a constant stream of flow all the time. So for the ones, and not just Sagittarian people, could be anybody, any sign, who does not have a belief system, I watch them suffer with health, with lack of relationships, with struggle. They might have $1 million in the bank, but they don't have anyone to be close with or share with, or they have really poor health and think little of themselves. So I want you to really examine your belief system during this retrograde period. Now, what's interesting is we're coming out of the Venus retrograde on November 16th. That is the day we move into a Mercury retrograde. Now, remember, the planets don't make you do anything. It's a cooperation with the cosmos. When you make a move, the planets will reflect that. And that's when I can look at a chart. I don't have one in front of me. I can look at a chart and say, oh, I see what this person is undergoing right now, or the potential that they have to open a door in their own psyche. Yet what they might be fighting, or what they might, what topics they might be dealing with, because essentially astrology tells you what time it is. That's all. And if it's time for your spirit to open up and fly right, no, I don't know where that came from. If it's time for your spirit to open up and start to download new information, where does that come from? People will say to me, how did you know that my brother-in-law passed away, and, blah, blah. I remember reading a guy who, he was a skeptic, which was fine, but his wife was a believer, and so was his daughter, and they had readings with me at their hotel a few years ago. And then the husband said, okay, just my wife paid for it, so I might as well. And we sat and we chatted about his life and some things. And then I said, do you have a brother? And he said, no, I don't. And I said, well, and I described the gentleman that I was seeing sitting next to him. And I said, and he passed away with you. He was actually in the war. And the man just started crying and crying. And he said, oh my gosh, that's my best friend. And his name was Mike or whatever. And I said, well, here's what Mike wants you to know, that it keeps going, that life is life, no matter what shape or form you take or what choices you make. Life is life, and it is constant. And he wants to see you do something with your life, even though you think you can't. And that was a huge healing for this man, because number one, he didn't believe in anything other. And then number two, there I was telling him about his best friend who died in the war. And number three, what his friend's message was to him. I mean, it was like, it blew his mind. So I want you to think about, Joyce says, I'm a Scorpio. Kimberly says, okay, what if Sagittarius is in my Mercury? You mean if you have Mercury in Sagittarius? Okay, well then it's going to be really crisp and clear about your judgments, first with yourself, and this applies to anyone, but especially if you have a Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius. And because we're returning to that. If you were born with that, we're returning to that original energy of who you were when you were born. And you want to look at, where is the victim in you? So again, I have known people who, the Sag energy, they've been very, very devout. They've been Buddhist nuns. They've been energy workers. They've been, big in their church, or the exact opposite. Cynics, don't believe in angels, energy, none of it. And I watch the extremes and say, okay, a Sag energy is opposite a Gemini energy. So the two can actually be very much alike. So you want to look at, what are the extremes with Mercury and Sagittarius? Where do you go to extremes when you don't want someone to tell you who you are? You get all, hey, don't you talk to me like that. And then, but instead of actually setting a healthy boundary, what do you do internally? You beat yourself up, you shove carbs in your face, you eat sugar. Sometimes you can say it, like the other day I said, with a thyroid issue, you don't lose weight because your body wants to make sure you're okay. So, and I've been working on letting go of a few pounds. And then what happens is I gained a few pounds. And I said to my husband, I'm going to get on the scale tomorrow, which was yesterday. So I got on the scale today and I said, and if I have gained a pound, I'm going to shove so much pizza and candy in my face, it's not funny. And he laughed. And I got on the scale and I had gained a pound. And I thought, well, I just needed to say that. I really don't feel like doing that because I don't eat candy. I make my own, no sugar. And it's healthy and it's keto and it's all great. And I don't eat, gluten. So, but just being able to say that, was like, I had my 3-second temper tantrum. And then I was like, okay, I will just keep working with my thyroid. And I want you to look at part of your speaking abilities. I'm a stand-up, you're a stand-up comic. That's very funny. So then you take that energy and you look on stage and you can pinpoint, what's really great. Sag energy is very sharp. Sag energy is, I see something and I want to take it and I'm going to hone it like a gem until it is so sharp and sparkly, and it's like so clear that you can't see anything but that. So you can take a thought, and the way my husband would do, and when he's forming a bit for stage, because he is a stand-up comic as well as a marketing expert and copywriter. And so when you look at the thing you want to talk about, do it in a way that brings awareness, like Aparna might do, like Brian Regan might do. And these are all great comics to go look at because they'll make you laugh. And that's great to break up perceptions. So Aparna, Brian Regan, Mike Birbiglia, Kathleen Madigan, Eliza with an I, Schlesinger, Elder Millennial. So when you look at these particular, they're very brilliant storytellers. And I want you to look at, it doesn't matter to me if you're a comic, a writer, or, you're doing nothing. If you're looking at focused, and you're focused on awareness during this retrograde phase, what I want you to look at is your perception and your story. What is what is the story you keep telling over and over and over again? And it's just not true. What is it? That's where I want you to go. Only if you want to, okay? Okay, folks, I'm going to be back on, when am I coming back? Monday. I will be back Monday. We're going to talk more about Astrology 101. In fact, we're going to be talking a little bit about the new moon and how you can put something new into the world during a new moon, which happens on the 5th. I'm sorry, on the 7th, but we'll be back on the 5th. So thank you for being here, everyone, and thank you for being sparkly. And take that idea that you have, put it into the world. Be your most excellent self just by focusing on your joy, being present in as many moments as possible, and moving those negative judgments aside so that you can just shine for being who you are. All right. Bless. I'll be back. I'll see you again. Be well.